make it sound so easy. I wish I wasn't so scared.
George, there's nothing to be scared of. All it takes is a little self-confidence. You know, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
If you decide to be rich today, who gonna stop you? Who? If you decide you want to be rich, all you gotta do is start.
Talk about those sold out arenas and you used to pretend that you were, you know, a superstar and people were coming to see you. Mm-hmm. How far did that feel when you were driving 2 hours to go work? I mean, that must have been a different universe. Course. Were you still thinking about it then?
Of course, because you have to do that. You have to battle with this. This is the law of attraction. I mean, you have to, in the struggle, you know, when things are going good and you visualize these good things happening, you visualize more good things happening, that's easy. What's not easy to do is when things are going bad and you're visualizing the good stuff. And that was what I was able to do.
You know, I believe in the law of attraction.
You know, I'm going to believe that I'm going to be better than him.
It's something that is like an internal belief.
I just feel it in my whole being that I'm the best fighter on the planet.
I honestly have convinced myself that I'm not designed to lose.
Power of the mind.
And I believe that that you can speak things into existence. And I believe that when you know where you're going and you know what you want, the universe has a way of stepping aside for you.
The visualization is an aspect of succeed. You can't just succeed and make it to the point where you're running some gigantic business without some sort of a vision.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean the vision created it. There's so many people out there that try to manifest something and it never takes place.
It's the law of attraction. It doesn't matter whether you believe in it or adhere to it. It is the law of attraction. It will never change. Everything I have is cause I say. Everything you have is cause you say. If you change what you say, you change the moment you say it, you begin to change. It's the process.
Around 2010, 2011, I went through this huge spiritual thing where I became obsessed with the power of the mind. And I got into it deep, like really deep, just meditation, visualization, and just realizing how powerful our minds actually are, like how we really do paint our world with our thoughts and our level of self-belief. And so right around 2010, I just took myself to this different mental level where I took myself from being an average Joe.
If a person would sit down and let their body relax, totally relax,
Okay.
and then start to visualize in their mind, see themselves the way they want to see themselves, see how you'd like to live your life, see yourself living it that way.
Okay.
Now understand that that's a picture in your mind, and then take that picture and describe it, write it out in the present tense. I am so happy now that I see myself, and write it out. But write out a description of how you'd like to see yourself. Start to read it, and read it, and read it, and read it every day. Carry it around and keep reading it. The one point that all the great teachers, all down through history, have all agreed on, they've been in complete unanimous agreement on it, we become what we think about.
Acting like the person you would most like to look like and be like. The secret is to get and hold fast in your mind the mental image of the person you would most like to be. Then in every situation you act and talk as you feel that person would. You make the kind of decisions you think that person would. This is the way to constantly grow into a better, more effective person. You immediately begin to act with more confidence, and confidence is the first step to accomplishment. As your accomplishments begin to grow, which they most certainly will, real confidence slowly takes the place of the part you've been playing. Now, your life will not be transformed overnight. There'll be no sudden miracles, perhaps, but steadily, day by day, you'll grow into the image you hold in your mind. If you doubt this, try it for 30 days and watch what happens.
If you get too nervous and you start to get too worked up and your thoughts start to spin and your body stays in a fight or flight state, your brain releases cortisol, and cortisol impacts your brain's ability to focus. So all your preparation goes out the window because you just blew it with the cortisol in your brain. When you say, I'm excited, even if you feel nervous, your brain buys it and doesn't release cortisol, which allows you to focus on what you need to do.
If you want something, you have got to be relentless. You've got to learn how to become resourceful. You've got to learn how to become creative. When crises strike in your life, and in the Chinese language, crises mean danger, but it also means opportunity. And this is an opportunity for you to grow. And you've got to be so relentless, regardless of what comes down the pike.
Be decisive. I have never met a successful person who was indecisive, and I've never met a failure who was decisive. Be decisive. Develop the characteristic and quality of decisiveness. We know that the reason why we are indecisive is because we're afraid of making a mistake. But the terrible thing is that the way that we think becomes a habit, and the habit of indecisiveness can condemn us to failure. We can be talented and intelligent and ambitious, but if we cannot make the hard decisions in our life, and if we cannot make decisions readily, then what happens is we always have to work for people who do make decisions readily.
The struggle is real. It never gets any easier. You gotta get harder. I was out yesterday, getting after it. Had one of the best runs I've had in a long time. PR'd that bitch. So, no one cares what you did yesterday. It only matters what you're doing today. Those who take me literally, so, I'm a cheerleader for those who want to be better. Not for those who want to stay the same. Stay hard.
I can't fight him. He has all my weapons. I have nothing.
When you began your journey, you were determined. Nothing could stop you. And now that you are so close, are you willing to give up so easily?
It was easier at the beginning.
Beginnings are often easier.
What's the point of fighting my way up the mountain when someone else is just going to come up the easy way?
There is always going to be someone who does things the easy way. But that should not stop you from doing things the right way. It is your journey, young warrior. Only you decide when it ends.
Victims see their past as their fate. Champions see their past as their origin story. And so a lot of people are living through their origin story right now, or they're living through the very reason that they'll never be successful, but it could be the exact same situation. And the only difference between either character is the actions they choose to take, which means that if you're, using Joe Rogan's frame, waking up in your main player character today in this moment, as weird of a construct as this is, the past doesn't exist. Just gone, it's not anywhere. And so the only thing that we absolutely have control over is the actions that we take right now.
Maybe I should just quit and go back to making noodles.
Quit, don't quit. Noodles, don't noodles. You are too concerned with what was and what will be. There's a saying, yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That is why it is called the present.
It's about as real as it gets. The question is, what are you gonna do next week, 2 weeks from now? You're in your own way. You are the reason your career is not on the next level. Nobody else but you. Oh, that's uncomfortable. I'll say it again. You know better, but you're not doing better. And to know better and not be willing to do better, your career isn't gonna get any better.
You know, we have a million and one excuses that we could go to. Fact of the matter is, we're not gonna make it. They played better than we did this series. We had opportunities to win it. They didn't go for us. So we have to regroup. Like I said, next season starts right now, and come back next season we can play.
How much harder will you work in this offseason now to get back to the championship?
I'll push myself to exhaustion.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were all meant to shine as children do. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
What's your life going to look like if you don't do it? What's your life going to look like if you don't go out and build what the you want to build? That you have this little vision in your heart and in your mind of what your life should be like. And what are you going to feel like if you don't go do that? What are you going to feel like in a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? When you die, what are you going to be saying? Because I can promise you, bro, that dream ain't going away. That dream was placed in your heart and in your mind by God. It is your purpose. And you are obligated to go build it. And for you to go build that, it's going to require executing when you don't feel it.
If you're strong inside, you let your actions do the talking. You don't have to go on websites and show all the great things, your cars, your money, your house. It speaks through your work, through the things that you have achieved, through the businesses that you have started, through the books that you have read. You don't have to do any talking. Your actions speak for themselves. So let's have certain ideals, certain standards of what we consider masculinity or to be a strong man actually are, and to use that sort of guide us through life.
Courage is the key to life itself. There are a lot of people who are born in situations where they say, well, I'll never get out of this. So they won't. I say to people who say, well, I would like to have done so and so and so. So, well, you could have done it. So, well, I couldn't get out of here. Man, the bus runs every day.
We all fall down in life, guys. The question is, who gets back up? Again, it's not the potential of the individual. It's not the genetics. It's the perseverance, the never say die attitude. If you constantly keep throwing shit against the wall, eventually something will stick, guys. Never give in to what you want. When you find out what you want, and you combine that with a sound mental diet, a visual nutrition, a physical diet of good food coming in with good exercise, you build the body, the belief, the confidence. You put that together with a want and a drive, dude, you're unstoppable. Your name will forever be in history. If you do it though, because it's hard, it's an uphill battle. It's a path less taken, not the beaten path that everyone else takes. It's a path that leads to character. You gotta earn that.
You know, what I try to do is just try to be still and understand that things come and go, emotions come and go. The important thing is to accept them all, to embrace them all, and then you can choose to do with them what you want versus being controlled by emotion. You know, a lot of times I've seen players, even myself, you know, when I was younger, being consumed by a particular fear, and to the point where you're saying, okay, nah, it's not good to feel fear. I shouldn't be nervous in a situation like that. It does nothing but grow versus stepping back and saying, yeah, I am nervous about the situation. Yeah, I am fearful about the situation. Well, what am I afraid of? And then you kind of unpack it. And then it gives you the ability to look at it for really what it is, which is nothing more than your imagination.
Scars heal.
No, they don't. Wounds heal.
Oh yeah, what do scars do? They fade, I guess?
I don't care what scars do.
You should, Shen. You gotta let go of that stuff from the past, because it just doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what you choose to be now.
Right now in life, your family's looking for that one guy right now. They're looking for that one guy who's strong, who's that pillar for the family in hard times. Make sure they look around and find you. These are the times right now for you to step up. Be that guy that can take anything.
Where you fight, anger is your biggest tool. Fighting angry, that drains you twice as fast. Yeah, the guy in the ring is your enemy, but if all you're trying to do is kill him, then you expose yourself. You leave yourself vulnerable. Gotta protect yourself.
Every day it gets a little easier.
Yeah?
But you gotta do it every day. That's the hard part. But it does get easier.
The vulnerability is too painful to bear. We will try and shut down our vulnerability, and for example, by being right. Because if I'm right, then I'm powerful and I can't be assailed anymore, you know? But when we do that, we stop growing. Everything in nature grows only where it's vulnerable. So a crustacean animal like a crab, inside a hard shell, it can't grow. It has to molt and make itself very vulnerable to be able to grow. A tree doesn't grow where it's hard and thick, does it? It grows where it's soft and green and vulnerable. So vulnerability is absolutely essential for growth. And for vulnerability, you gotta let go of those defenses, such as being right, that you developed as a child in order to protect yourself from the pain. So that's why we talk about growing pains, because vulnerability is necessary for growth. Without vulnerability, there is no growth.
I wanted people to like me. I wanted to be accepted in some society of life, some social society. And I was like, man, this isn't the right way. I messed up here, I messed up here, I messed up everywhere. And so I realized the worst thing that happened to me is I lost myself. I never had myself, I never found myself. I had no self-esteem. So I knew through working out and through learning, because it took a lot for me to learn also, I started finding self-esteem. Once I found that, that's when doors started opening up. I stopped caring about people, that what they thought, being judged. Wow, if I say this, if I started right now, are you gonna make fun of me? I stopped caring about that. And that's when my life started really changing for me, slowly but surely.
Decide that you're going to begin to live life on a new level, seeking out new horizons, that you're going to find more love and more joy and more ways to give more to life. God said something, I love this. He says, everything a man does for himself, guess what? He takes with him. But everything he does for others, he leaves behind. So when you begin to say, what is it that I want to leave? What contribution that I want to begin to make? What difference do I want to make in life? What is it that I want to do with the rest of the life that I have left? What chances I need to take? What risks do I need to begin to embrace? What fears do I need to step on? What areas of my life am I dead right now? What dream? You can either live your dreams or live your fears.
A lot of times I'll be in a 200-mile run or something like that, and I'm all jacked up. Body's broken, mind's broken, spirit's broken. I started to say, what if I could pull this off? When I first walked into the Navy SEAL recruiter's office, he looked at me and said, there's only been 35 African Americans in 70 years make it through. You know what I said to myself? What if I can be the 36th? It's the what if I can pull off a f***ing miracle. What if I can become someone that no one thinks I can be? What if I can be that guy that people who call nigger, this and that, and now I'm speaking at Tom Ferry's f***ing event.
The one companion that's always going to be with you is yourself. And I think the first thing you have to do, I think the first thing we have to do is we have to get ourselves to the point where we don't necessarily need a companion. Start making yourself a companion that you're comfortable with. If you had a friend, if you had a person you're going to sit down and spend all the time with, what would you want from that person? What would you want? Well, I would want to spend time with somebody who's honest. Makes sense? I don't want to spend time with somebody who's going to be lying to me all the time. Someone who's going to gently tell me the truth about myself. Don't give up. Don't become so rigid and inflexible that you can't modify your path and modify your schedule to get where you're going. Because if you quit that easy, you never really wanted it that bad. All right? So hopelessness is a state of mind. Don't live your entire life hopeless and unfulfilled. As long as you're moving towards a dream. You say, Dwayne, what if I'm so far away from my dream now that I die before I actually reach it? Die on the road.
You have to really analyze your life. Because I guarantee you, most of the things that we're going through, someone else has already gone through. So what one person can do, another can do. And it's important that we believe that you are not alone in this journey. You're not the first person to go through what you're going through. Whether it's death, illness, whatever you're dealing with, a learning disability, you're fat, you're bullied, you are not the first person to endure whatever you're going through.
It's like people don't make excuses. You know, some of the best athletes, or the greatest athletes in the world, do things when they're uncomfortable. You know, everybody can compete when they're feeling good, happy, excited, rested. But it's the best people who can overcome when they're tired, sore, not in the great mind, you know, not in the best mindset. And I think mental power that the greatest athletes have can push all the pain aside. You know, and I mean, like when I was doing that Navy SEALs thing, was it easy for me to do it? No. Was it easy for me to climb over a 45-foot wall and look down? Not at all, and I'm afraid of heights. But, you know, I said to myself, I'm going to do this and no one's going to stop me. And I think that's the biggest thing, is how strong you can be mentally. I think that really shows who the person is. So I think that's one thing that separates the good from the greatest.
Having things isn't that fun. Getting things is fun.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's where it's sort of the vicious other side of doing anything for the purpose of achievement. That when you end up getting to the achievement, you realize that the achievement wasn't anything. It was literally just the end point that gave you direction. Mm-hmm. And as soon as you do get to that, you know, the idea of false peaks in mountaineering. So it's when you think that you're at the top and you realize, oh fuck, I got to go down and I got to go back up again. Mm-hmm. But this one's even higher. It's like every achievement is basically just a false peak the whole way up.
I became obsessed with being the baddest that God ever created. Am I that? I don't care. I believe it. And I was trying to tell him, once you become obsessed with something, it's okay to be unbalanced for a while. It's okay. Don't be all this stuff people say, you got to be balanced. To be the best in the world at what you do. It's not about being a Navy SEAL, people. The best at what you do, you have to be unbalanced to find every bit of energy and strength that you have to pull it off. Then you get balanced once you become great.
A sense of purpose can only arise from us if we're in touch with our real selves. So they would be in the world, but they wouldn't be of the world in a sense. They wouldn't identify themselves with the values that society would push on them. So I think they would struggle, but they would do reasonably well, and they'd hold on to themselves in the process. They wouldn't live a life that's based on what do other people think about me? Am I pretty enough? Do they find me attractive? Have I collected enough goods and objects to make me feel okay about myself? They wouldn't buy into all that. And to the extent that this has been studied, and it has been, those people that can be in this society without buying into its values tend to be healthier and more grounded emotionally.
I think it's just being willing to, but the only way you can believe in a thing or an idea or even yourself is because you have the evidence behind you that supports that your belief isn't full of shit. So that when you're in that room and you come up with that one number and you say, I think everyone's wrong, I think this is actually what it's worth. You're not just making it up to say you believe something different. You actually have proof and evidence that you're not full of shit. And I think that's the work.
You know, basketball for me was the most important thing. So everything I saw, whether it was TV shows, whether it was books I read, people I talked to, everything was done to try to learn how to become a better basketball player. Everything. And so when you have that point of view, then literally the world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
You have to learn to train your mind well beyond motivation. If you have motivation, that's great. That's some kindling to the fire. All it takes is a little bit of spark, you can burn the whole forest up. But motivation, you have to learn to exist without it. You have to learn to be, your best self when you're least motivated. And that's the tricky part about all that shit. Motivation is just a word. You have to have these different things in your mind on where you want to go and know that motivation is not going to get me there. Because I'm not going to always be motivated.
The moments in life, the decisions you make on a moment-to-moment basis that add up to be the guy or not the guy. Tonight, I did something, that I feel more of a guy. For me, who I am, my guy. Repeat that over and over and over again. It's just, one, it's a better life. You feel like more confident. You have a better sense of reality. The way you go about your day is in a more productive fashion. You're more goal-oriented. They all just synergetically go together into a movement, a force that's very unstoppable, man.
Success is the only revenge. As you expand, they shrink into irrelevance. As you get louder, no one can hear them. You don't beat them, you cast a shadow so big, no one can see them to begin with. When people copy, they copy the wrong stuff because they don't know why it worked to begin with. And when it breaks, they don't know how to fix it because they didn't build it. So don't sweat it. Copycats will always be behind.
You have a choice to make. Do you want to sit down and go back to that guy you once were? No. So this is what it takes. It takes that misunderstanding of people, and they'll never get it because they were never David Goggins. So that is what it takes for me to do what I do. It may take you something differently. So for me, everything has to be in the study. Everything has to be into this. Everything has to be, and everywhere I am, it has to be there. Me, focused where I am.
You face your fears, you become the person you want to be. You run from your fears, you're not living. You're alive, but you're not taking the freedom. You're not running the day. The day's running you. You always be the fucking servant, not the master, guys. If you find a fear, the quickest, the easiest way you can beat it is initially, right when it comes in. If you allow it to sit, it will grow roots and start breaking you down, destroying the potential of the person you can be. Again, the champions, guys. It's not their potential, it's not their genetics. It's their perseverance to always show up, always willing to fail, because in failure, that's part of success. Success is not, a marathon of life with just ups. Success is formulated through failures, through facing your fears, through falling down and getting back up. That's what creates the champion. Success does not define us. We define the success.
Maybe you want to be nobody. Maybe you're happy exactly where you are in life, because obviously you are. Maybe you don't have the determination to be somebody better than who you are. That's why there's a lot of average. And it makes me so fucking mad. Every day I walk this earth and I see average all over the place. And they want to ask me, how did you do it? I can't tell you how, because you're not gonna do it.
At the end of every day, you look yourself in the mirror and you ask yourself, did I get better today? If the answer is yes, and you do that for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, how much better are you going to be? Are you getting better every single day? That's the question. And it's just taking small steps. You don't try to get it all done in one day, in 1 week, in 1 year. It's the process of getting better every day and doing that for a period of years that then create the masterpiece.
I can't go out on the track and do the same old thing. It won't work.
Then change it up. Try something new.
I don't know, Sally.
Don't fear failure. Be afraid of not having the chance. You have the chance. And you can either take it, or you can do what you've been doing, sitting in here for months.
I found out through this path of life, who is David Goggins? Who am I? So going through I did it alone. There was no trophy on the wall, on the mantle. That trophy's in my brain. No one helped me get there. No one paid my bills. No one did shit for me. No one ran those miles, lost that weight. Went through it. I suffered on my own and developed this man who said, it's who I am, man. A very competitive, ultra competitive dude that take it what you want, man.
You will face pain on this way. Accept the pain. Smile at the pain. Embrace the pain. Zbogom. Pain is the gatekeeper of destiny. Pain is there to ask you one simple question. Do you really want to achieve your goals, or are you just a talker?
Self-talk, for me, has been the biggest thing in my life. A lot of us have a dialogue that is crap. It's a crappy dialogue. We live in a world right now that is very external. Everything is very on the surface, superficial, everything. And what we're telling ourselves is what we see on TV, is what we see on Instagram, is what we see on Facebook. And we're telling ourselves stuff that doesn't really penetrate to our core, to the inside of our soul.
See, the thing about life We're gonna die, right? Eventually we're gonna die. But our legacy can live on. The impact can be non-perishable, forever. But it's gotta be built right. And we gotta take advantage of the time we have right now. If you want it bad enough, you find a way. If you don't want it bad enough, you find an excuse. It's called the body weight beatdown. You don't need any weights for it. You don't need a gym membership. You don't need any barbells. You don't need any equipment. All you need is this motherfucker. That's your weight. Your body weight. Last I looked, the person that finishes the race with their hand held isn't about the how big they are, how tough they are, their potential. It's their perseverance. Meaning it's not about the dog that's in the fight. It's the fight within the dog.
Be the guy who embraces the ugly, the miserable. Be the guy who embraces hard work, the grind. Don't be afraid of being hurt. Don't be afraid of sacrificing some blood.
One thing in life, this applies to everything in life. Anytime you move from being normal to trying to be exceptional, people aren't gonna like that shit. Those normal people, it makes them feel like shit, so they're gonna judge you. And nowadays, it's very easy to be a coward. Why? We got Instagram and shit. Most folks don't tell you to your face. They go online, they post about it like cowards. Don't let cowards get in your head. And last thing, make sure you do you. Stay hard.
You have lots of exciting things that'll happen to you. And then you'll turn 30. You haven't really built one solid skill. You built a lot of 5 kind of half things. And it's set the pattern for your life. You're going to be wandering forever, forever, forever. As opposed to the one-track person who's going to burn out, who's going to become perhaps a drug addict or something like that. You're going to become someone who has no discipline, who just keeps going from this, that, the other thing. And that'll be your pattern. It won't be a very satisfying life.
Suffering is a part of life. It is something that you cannot avoid, and the more you try to avoid it, the more you prolong its impact on your life. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. That's why the conversations that you have to have with yourself have to be engaging, have to be empowering. You got to speak life over you when it feels like death is all around you. You have to speak up and not allow yourself to be put on mute, because when you suffer in silence, someone else suffers as well. Suffering teaches you how to survive. It teaches you how to thrive. It teaches you how to win, because when you come out of suffering, you come out a survivor. And what survivors have is a game plan in life of how to make it and how to sustain. And when others find the road is clear, it's because you cleared the road for them. That's the challenge of understanding that suffering doesn't last always. But you can always outlast the suffering.